guys must be for real.
And they've been able to do it with defense. The 6th best defense in the country statistically with FIOC.
Will Lynch, Jack Oldman will face off to begin this one. And Will Lynch will pick up the GB first possession to Notre Dame. It's an Irish team you think about, too. We mentioned those 4 losses in the open, Kark. They've done a great job this year bouncing back after tough losses. It seems like whether they lose a game or the Ohio State, that was their 2nd game in a row. They lost to Maryland and Ohio State. The next game, they blew out Michigan. They come back really well after tough times.
That's in Kevin Corrigan, the head coach's DNA. 3.5 decades in South Bend. Always responds after a loss.
Here's Kavanaugh, 50 in blue. Over to Will Angrick on the far side. Angrick down the alley, forced to a tougher angle. Face on is 14, plays on the Notre Dame football team as well. Kavanaugh gets to the middle, almost had his hands free enough. Face-on's hands are free, but FIOC is there.
There it is, look at the top hand speed from FIOC. You think of him as a big body just getting pelted with shots. There's an elusiveness and agility to his game.
This game's going to be a physical affair, as it always is when these two teams meet up. I have a feeling I'm going to have bruises all over my shoulder after this day. Kark's going to give me a few shivs for sure.
It's May. Buckle up.
In goal for the Irish, Thomas Ricciardelli. He had huge shoes to fill when you talk about coming into this year, but he's been with the program for a couple of years, so it was not a tough transition for him with Liam Enseman moving on to the PLL.
Top 10 in save percentage nationally.
And he gets tested right away by Marinier. Alex Marinier with 46 goals on the year tries Ricciardelli, but he's up to the task.
Marinier's that guy on the right wing that loves to let it fly. Ricciardelli up to the task on the road. He was terrific in the loss in the month of March to the Buckeyes, saving 67%. It was one of his best games of the year.
Second midfield unit on now for the Notre Dame. It's Fisher Finley. They are without Matt Jeffrey, who's injured. He got injured a couple of games ago. Skipped up top. Dropped. Here come the Buckeyes. That's Cullen Brown. How good are the defenders on this Ohio State team? Bobby Van Buren, Cullen Brown, Kyle Foster.
Bobby Van Buren will be a first-team All-American this season. Cullen Brown's not far behind him. He's a big-time prospect at the next level in the PLL. Leads the team and caused turnovers.
Got Wilma Harris hung up. That's number 16 in blue. He's an offensive midfielder now. On the defensive end, he's looking to get off.
This offense does it by committee. Marinier's the big shooter on the right side. Garrett Haas behind the cage as a quarterback, but they could beat you with 6 to 9 midfielders. Very two-handed group, too. When you watch them on tape, they're comfortable both bowling lefty or righty.
Ben Mayer here loses his footing. A couple of Buckeyes have lost their footing on that very spot, but he gets it back. Back to Griffin Turner. Maharris is still out there, 16 in blue on Turner. So Turner wants to take advantage. Now you get the slide. Dylan McGee. He's on Maharris, bounces it wide.
Here's a look at McGee, big body from the state of Texas. It's another example of a two-handed guy. McGee loves to go lefty, but shows you he can get to the middle of the field with his right hand.
Ricciardelli, no problem on that shot from Garrett Haas.
If I'm Notre Dame, I pick my spots and I try to run a little bit on the Buckeyes. The Buckeyes, that's a bad turnover. The Buckeyes are so good in the settled defense, and then when you get by them, you got to deal with FIOC. If you could hit in transition, if you're Notre Dame, that will be the recipe to get on the board.
Gannon Matthews will put it in play. Young man out of Eagle, Idaho. Talk about the growth of the game. Out near Boise, on the run. Marinier. That's Liam White, 22. Haas. Tries to swim over his defender. Shoots wide.
Only a sophomore, Garrett Haas, but did a 2-year Mormon mission in Africa before he came to Columbus, and last year was kind of a reacclimation to the sport of lacrosse. As a freshman, they started heating up in practice and as a scout team guy, and this year he's taken the reins as the quarterback for Nick Myers.
Both goalies tested early in this game, still scoreless. As Angrick inside, just misses, was Devin McLean.
That's where the big body of Fayok makes you think too much. You think you have to have a perfect shot to get it past him, and McLean, who's cutting lefty there, that's one he's going to want back. But he gets in your head because of the body, Connor.
Right.
This isn't your average, 6'1", 205 goalie.
Well, Coach Corrigan talked with us about that this week. Shoot at the net. Don't worry about the goalie. Angrick now trying to get his right hand free. He does, shoots and scores.
Shoot at the net, get to the middle of the field. Low angles will get gobbled up by the big tasty Caleb Fayok. But when you get to the middle of the field, you move his feet. And that's what you want to do. You see, Big Tasty has to kind of get adjusted to the middle of the field and stare down the shot. Angrick goes left, then right, and then sets his spot at the middle of the field. So he's staring down Fayok with an absolute hammer of a shot to the top corner.
Angrick's 13 of the year. Lynch wins it cleanly to himself. Gets it to McLean. Now whistles behind the play. Want to make sure the shot clock is timed up right. They'll move it to 75 from 79.
80 off the face-off win, 60 off a reset. Hits the goal or the goalie.
Surprised on a sunny day like today, Kevin Corrigan, no hat. You surprised not to see the hat?
No, because you thought he was going to wear a hat. He's always keeping us on.
Yes, the
on
contrarian,
our toes, right? Yep.
The all-time contrarian. Great matchup. Van Buren guarding Kavanaugh. Now Kavanaugh's got him hung up. He's looking for a cutter.
Cat and mouse game right here.
Inside, Taylor swallowed up though defensively. That play works so often for Notre Dame, but not today so far. Brown tried to get it to Marinier, tracks it down.
You see the Buckeyes, how good they are off the ground too, the poles. It's not just Cullen Brown. This is Travis Crane is the defensive coordinator. Spent so much time over the years in terms of just finding those athletes to make those type of plays from defense to offense. It's more than just the stop what the Buckeyes have done in 2025.
Now Ben Mayer directing traffic. Get it to Haas. Collision on GLE, but Haas keeps possession. Bad pass, over and back turnover.
It's the right idea by Haas, but he just throws a blitzing pass. Too much mustard on it.
Yeah, Marinier was open. Great crowd for the Irish. Not just green, not just silver and red today, but a lot of green in the crowd.
Notre Dame travels, and this is a program now. After being so close for so long, the back-to-back titles, first two in program history, have not just South Bend kind of bustling and buzzing around the sport of lacrosse, but all the Midwest.
Kavanaugh's got the shorty on him, and Brown quickly slides. Here's face on. You heard the popping of the pads. That's nothing new to 14 in blue. Wide receiver on the football team. Looking at dodge. Going against Johnny Cool. Plenty of time to shoot for the Irish. Angrick. Already has one today. No angle this time, and the help comes. To your point earlier, Kark, in the passing lanes, deflecting that pass, but it's tracked down.
Yeah, they're long, they're active with their sticks, and they communicate. You'll hear a ton of talking by the defense in white.
Face on. Ball was deflected, and nice save by Ohio State, Johnny Cool.
That was a tremendous play by 20 in white, Johnny Cool, and that is not his nickname.
No, but it could be if you saw his headshot. His freshman headshot was like Vinny Barbarino.
Oh, is that a central cast?
Now it's a little more like Tom Hardy. He's
yes.
kind of roughed it up a little bit over the last couple of years.
Look at Gannon Matthews, who just transferred the ball, 24 in white. Got his teeth knocked out in the Big Ten championship game against Maryland last Saturday night.
Back in action. Here's Haas GLE. Slide quick. O'Leary, 8 in white. He was the hero in the first game this season between these two. The game winner in the final seconds in South Bend. And the irony, dripping with irony on that one, that a man named O'Leary was able to beat the Irish on their home turf. Marinier scores!
You want opportunities on the offensive end, you gotta muck it up. Sticks in the passing lane. You gotta sell out and give your shooters opportunity after opportunity. Bunch of junkyard dogs, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Johnny Cool keeps it in. And the sharpshooter, Alex Marinier. You give a week on the call. They lost to Utah in their first game of the season on February 1st, 19-13. They were blitzed. They beat Notre Dame on March 8th. He said, look at your phone and all your text messages. Whoever was in touch with you between that Utah loss, the 1st of February, to the 8th of March, that's your circle. So they believed no one else did.
Myers in his 17th season coaching Ohio State. Kevin Corrigan in his 37th at Notre Dame. You think about how long it took him to finally break through after so many close calls to win that first national championship 2 years ago. They repeated last year, looking for a three-peat here in 2025. They got to get it started, though, on the road here in Columbus.
Coach Kevin Corrigan, an absolute trailblazer, what he's done with this program at Notre Dame. They weren't able to remotely compete against the big dogs when he arrived 3+ decades ago. And now if you go to South Bend and you watch a lacrosse game and you follow them throughout the course of these tournaments and the close calls and then winning the last two, it's been an amazing run for him.
Matthews skips it. Nice job defensively by Tyler Buckner, quarterback on the football team, but then Ohio State gets it back. Here's O'Leary. Now Liam White will set it up.
I really like this rookie. He is so two-handed and fast, can shoot with both hands on the run. He can create.
Just won that ball back to his team on that ride after the turnover. Young man from Illinois loses it. Buckner gets it again.
Two big stops by 12 in blue, Tyler Buckner.
Donovan. Good feed inside. Got a full day of action for you today. Air Force in Maryland follows us on ESPNU. So you're going to want to stick around for that one.
It's May, it's Maryland. John Tillman. He's been there, done it.
Fayok.
You see how patient he is, too? I mean, he takes up a huge portion of the goal, but he just sits on that shot. There's no guessing. And then it's relying on that top hand speed, which is about as good as any goalie in the country. The Big Tasty has been big in this first quarter.
Former midfielder Jack McKenna recently moved down to attack as Coach Myers tinkered with his lineup a little bit here. Make sure they had success come tournament time, which they have had. winning 2 games in the Big Ten tournament last week to claim the title there. Looking to keep that run going. Saved by Richard Deli.
I didn't like that shot by Marinier. I thought he was kind of shooting off his back foot, and he didn't get his core and his full base into that shot. When you see him on the right wing, oftentimes, his comfort zone, there's just so much more torque and velocity.
That's Luke Miller, good look at 77 in blue. Scored a goal and an assist in their last game against Syracuse, getting some time. Shrugging off the defender, making Fayok make the save. That's his 3rd of the day.
They like that matchup, Miller, an attackman on a short stick. They'll run him through the box, rotating with Fisher Finley to get those type of matchups where he can invert coming from behind. I'll tell you, this is big for the Buckeyes. Talking to Nick Myers on the field before the game. The first wave, can we handle our emotions, right? This is a big spot for a team that's opened this stadium in 2023, dreamed of a moment like this, hosting a 2-time defending champ who's been there and done it.
First NCAA tournament game for Ohio State since 2022, when they lost on the road in the first round at Cornell. Before that, you have to go all the way back to 2017 when they made a run all the way to the finals. Haas.
Look at the feet. Watch the feet on 2.
On the bigger Buckner. Hits the far corner.
Feet don't lie, Cotter. Stay patient with the dodge. Trust the pop in your lower body. He's so two-handed that you have to respect him going up left-hand goal line extended. He gets Buckner to bite. They find a short stick matchup. You want to pull on 2 and white every time, but Ohio State in the pick game allows Garrett Haas to feast on a shorty, and then the low shooting ability from an angle, right? That low angle. That is a gorgeous rip by the sophomore.
On this Ohio State roster, you'll find Texas, Idaho, Florida, California, of course Canada and Ohio as well. They go far and wide, Clark. They're not just recruiting Baltimore and Long Island and upstate New York. They got kids from all over, and they're showing that they can bring quality lacrosse here to Columbus.
Yesterday, we were talking about in the Princeton game, representatives from the state of Washington, Idaho,
Nebraska's out there.
Nebraska, yes,
We never
all
said
over
that
the
before.
place. It's a beautiful thing. The game is growing leaps and bounds.
Here's face on. See how Notre Dame responds here in the final minute of the first quarter. Boost and kill. Let's get it up top to Angrick. Swing it to the far side of McLean, the veteran. Skips it. Boost and kill has a wide open look. Fayok shuts the door, and the quick outlet to Brown.
Brown is so critical in the clearing game. You see him behind, setting a pick there.
Let's try to force that one in front. How about Boost and kill playing defense, getting that caused turnover? And a nice outlet to Gallagher. He's going to try and shoot at the goal in the final seconds. Fayok will get credit for the save. Man. Everything we expected coming into this one. Fireworks, but great goaltending means you're not going to see a lot of goals. You will see the bagpipes, and you'll see physical play. 2-1, Buckeyes on top after 1. Years ago to win the first, and then last year to go back-to-back. It's unprecedented because to win 3 straight, we haven't seen that very often in college lacrosse.
Last time was Princeton, 96, 97, 98. Different path if the Fighting Irish are going to do it in 2025. They're on the road in round 1 against a hungry Buckeye team who won the Big Ten title outright and then the tournament championship as well. And these two teams have played each other since 1981 every single year. And you look at the success of Notre Dame the last couple years winning it all. Ohio State's had their number. The last 6 times they've played, they've won 4 of them.
Including earlier this year in South Bend on March 8th. And they've got the lead here starting this second quarter. Jack Goldman wins the draw. Ari Allen from Atlanta, Georgia. There's another one. Not a traditional lacrosse hotbed, but it's becoming one.
Terrific football player in high school, too. Played at IMG, which is a factory.
For all sports, no question about it. Here's Liam White. Came from Illinois, decided to go to Boys Latin in Baltimore. Is he part of the first class where they had dorms there? Kids from around the country. Coach Myers said the first call he made when recruiting was open was to call Liam White. Gonna get a flag here, first of the day.
I think that's going to be a push with possession on Notre Dame. Buckeyes should be extra man for 30. Reset of the shot clock.
Take another look at it here.
That's Chris Reinhardt. He got 2 in there, and then once it looked like Gannon Matthews left his feet because of the push, that's an easy call.
Man up just under 40% on the season for Ohio State. Marinier shoots. Couldn't get it through. Blocked to the point of attack by Gallagher. Sheeran in the game, 10 in white. Good pass inside. And it ends up being in the back of the net. Garrett Haas.
Buckeyes love it. This is what happens when you have an elite stretch shooter like Alex Marinier. It opens up the inside on the extra man. Teams have to press out to 5 in white because he hammers the ball. And then you overcompensate, and the backside is wide open. And Garrett Haas is Johnny on the spot with a brilliant pass by Griffin Turner. Those are back-breaking type passes, the through pass to the backside. If you connect, you're on the doorstep for a one-on-one. That's how shooters disrupt man-down defenses, even when they aren't the goal scorers. Everyone's so worried about that guy. He just hammers the ball well over 100 miles an hour, Alex Marinier.
Loose ball hold goes against Ohio State.
So this is interesting, Chris. Different types of offensive schemes here. Ohio State will do it by committee, right? And they have pieces to a puzzle. Notre Dame, some of their struggles, and they've had 3 to 4 games where there's been 30 minutes where they're scoreless. Their midfield kind of disappears in spots in terms of dodging and creating offense, and it puts so much pressure on 15 blue Chris Kavanaugh to win his matchup. Now, the good thing is he has the capability of taking over games. The tough thing is he's going against Bobby Van Buren, who's an elite cover defender. The midfielders have to make their presence felt in this game if Notre Dame has a shot. It can't be all Kavanaugh.
It's a midfield with a lot of experience, Clark. You think about the 2 national championship years for Notre Dame. They would play 9 midfielders, and many of them are back playing this year.
They are, but it's a different kind of cocktail to the offense because Pat Kavanaugh's gone, and that 1-2 punch between both Kavanaughs, that took the pressure off the middies. Now they need to assert themselves. There's Van Buren. That's why it's such a tough matchup for Chris Kavanaugh.
And Greg Langermeyer, one of the captains from Ohio, is able to pick up the GB, but then he gives it right back. Faison tracks him down. Flag comes out. Faison still keeps possession. This will be a delayed call against Ohio State. Kavanaugh wants to take advantage. He immediately flies through the air. All kinds of contact in the crease. Looks like everybody's up, no harm, no foul. The officials are talking about that contact as well after the flag was dropped at midfield.
Well, that one could be a couple things. It could be a push on Van Buren. It also could be diving into the goal and making contact with the goalie.
Or could be nothing, which it looks like it will be.
White 38, trip, 1 minute.
Call's going to go against Langermeyer. 38 in white, that's a trip. It'll be 1 minute.
Langermeyer's the senior, one of the heart and soul members of this turnaround for the Buckeyes. Gets it on Faison. And then here's the back end where we thought there could have been a penalty here. Yeah, Kavanaugh gets hit. Fayok comes out to meet him, so the contact's actually out of the goal mouth, that semicircle. If he was to make contact with the goalie without defensive pressure inside of the goal mouth, it could have been a penalty on Kavanaugh.
Man up for a minute for the Irish. Clay's shot goes high.
They're struggling.
They were absolutely deadly these last couple of years, and this year, what, 47?
That's what I'm saying. 31%. It's not great, but it's not horrible. But compared to years past, where they were historically great, around 70%.
Watch out for Ricciardelli, Jeffrey Ricciardelli, brother of the goaltender for the Irish. He's a specialist. There he is. That's exactly what he does on the doorstep. They always seem to find zero and blue. That's his 6th man-up goal on the season.
Way to nail it, Cotter. You're seeing it. Chris Kavanaugh, the distributor here, gets the defense thinking with that prior ball reversal before this pass. What I love about Ricciardelli, too, sometimes he hangs out on the low left side outside the crease. Sometimes he's in the middle. They move him with the ball. And the trust between Kavanaugh and Ricciardelli, who were also high school teammates at Taft. Kavanaugh is going to pass that ball to Ricciardelli way quicker than most because of the confidence and how much experience they have with one another.
That time, Sean Matoto on the draw, guilty of the violation. Kavanaugh. Second midfield unit on, including Wilma Harris, young man out of Chicago, Illinois, 16 in blue.
This is more of a traditional set for the midfield when Fisher Finley's out there. 6 in blue, 6'5". When they put Luke Miller in there, 77 in blue, they'll invert and take the midfielders out of their comfort zone and go behind.
Jalen Seymour. Seymour coming in at 6'4", 210. Finley 6'6", 225. I mean, that is a scary group. And then Maharis is the little jitterbug, 16. Bounce shot way too high. It'll stay with the Irish. 33 to shoot. Harris uses a pick to get on the shorty. Inside, beautiful ball movement, finished by Jake Taylor.
Can't leave him open. Recently drafted in the PLL by the Philadelphia Water Dogs. Denver native gets scooped up by the legendary coach Bill Tierney. Coached the Pioneers to a national championship in 2015. He's the last guy you want to give that much room to. Cotter, he's automatic from this spot. 7th nationally at shooting percentage at 48%. Taylor rarely gets that much time and room. He finishes shots like that when defenders are all draped all over him, let alone if he's that free. That was a breakdown in the Buckeyes D. A miscommunication to leave 13 in blue that wide open.
From Denver, Colorado, grew up playing outdoor and indoor lacrosse. Lynch picks up the GB, gets it back to Ricciardelli.
This is interesting what they're doing right now with Notre Dame. Taylor's going through the box, but he's playing his regular crease area. But what it's doing is it's giving him a different matchup. And that last time it freed him up because he has a midfielder defending him as opposed to a close defender.
Monday night, big night in the NBA on ESPN. NBA Countdown tips at 6:30, followed by the draft lottery. Then it's Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals, Celtics and Knicks at 7:30. And then Game 4 of the Western semis between the T-Wolves and the Warriors. You know Nick Myers will be watching, big Celtics fan. Very disappointed in their 0-2 start in that series against the Knicks. Bounce back in Game 3. He'll be happy about that, too. Turnover.
Good check by Van Buren on the bottom hand of Chris Kavanaugh, disrupting that pass flow.
Face on. Beautiful ride. Here come the Irish. I thought for a second there we might get an assist from Jake Taylor. That's not something you see every day.
No.
He only has, what, 4 on the season to go along with now 27 goals.
Tell you what, though, when we had his Virginia game, he had some dimes in that game. Multiple assist game by Taylor.
Yeah, it's very rare.
If you put him in that spot, though, he's got the lacrosse IQ to dissect the defense. He's such a smart player. What he does away from the ball, even when he's not catching and scoring.
So here's Luke Miller now, 77. To your point, he inverts to X.
Yep. So they get the short stick here as a midfielder, and they give him the green light.
Up top to McLean, gets underneath his defender. Jump shot to Fayok, stops him.
You see how he just owns the pipe and the low angle shooting? It's so hard to get a shot like that past the big tasty. 6'2", 296. Hands, lightning speed.
He's got 6 saves.
He's had an historic 2025 at 62%. Those are ridiculous numbers. Number 1 in the nation in that category.
He's helped Ohio State win a couple of rock fight games. You think about like 7-5. Oh, what a save by Richard Telly, though, matching him on the far side. He's got 4 saves, and that was a beaut.
Yeah, he's doing his part because that shot had some heat. Faison back onto the field. In the last 660 days, Jordan Faison has played football or lacrosse, practiced or games, in 597 of them.
Yeah.
You talk about a 2-sport athlete who's emptying the tank and constantly being on call, whether he's a wide receiver for Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish football team or a midfielder for Kevin Corrigan. No off days.
Coach Corrigan gave him the first couple of games off this season at recovering from the national championship game. 1 extra pass to Kavanaugh. But even with that said, he has 8 goals on the season. You would have expected more from 14, so you wonder whether he's run into a wall a little bit here as the calendar turns to May. Kavanaugh, I thought he might let that one rip. Instead, he comes back up topside and beats Fayok. The spin does one of a couple things for Chris Kavanaugh. Frees up his hands from Bobby Van Buren. Shot out of a cannon with the velocity on that shot. Richie Ardelli starts this offensive run. Look at that spin and shot location. He's owned May the last couple months. Don't bet against a Kavanaugh. Off of that with that beautiful Chris Kavanaugh goal before the break. First shot of the game, first goal of the game for Kavanaugh. Anger coming upfield, good look inside. Just tried to get the one-timer from that time from Taylor. Couldn't get it to work. Look at Tasty outside the goal. Caleb Fayok. He moves. He's like showing you his nimble feet. He's like Blaze Reardon in many ways. PLL goalie. His movement belies his size. Kavanaugh. Boost and kill. Hard off. Played that pick beautifully. Kavanaugh initially came off that pick as a shooter, and then all the attention a beat after
started going upfield towards Kavanaugh, and Busenkill wide open.
Face on here, trying to get by. Johnny Cool can't do it on first blush. Kavanaugh steps in. Wide.
Got to press out on him. He can make it rain from deep.
These defenders for Ohio State are impressive. Brown, Van Buren, Cool. You mentioned it before. Langenmeyer, the short stick. Island, Ari Allen, former football player, great high school football player. This is Island right here, 34.
Yeah, Island is a pro short stick defensive midfielder.
And now he's on Kavanaugh. It's interesting here. Can Kavanaugh take advantage? In front, Busenkill stopped by Fiat. Look at Kavanaugh on the ride, though, in front. And McLean beats Fiat. Is that not quintessential Kavanaugh? All three brothers have always played that well in the ride game, and Chris Kavanaugh continues that legacy.
You're playing against the 6th best scoring defense nationally. The top goalie in the country. You got to find non-traditional ways to score goals outside of the settled 6-on-6. What does Notre Dame do as well as anyone during these huge moments in the month of May? It's ride. Get after the defense when they're trying to clear. And look at the shot location. This is a great finish by McLean, who not only fakes high and shoots low, but he takes the head of his stick and puts it across his face, twister-like fashion, to give more deception to beat a superstar goalie.
Nick Myers has seen enough of this 4-goal run by the Irish, calling timeout at the 5:07 mark of this second quarter. Irish up 5-3. As I mentioned, with 5:07 left to go in this first half. Let's look at the bracket as we are the first game of the second day here, the first round. Richmond got the win over North Carolina in Chapel Hill yesterday. Mild upset, not a surprise to many. The way Richmond plays defense, they could be a tough out for the winner of that Albany-Cornell game. Penn State hung on. Colgate gave them all they could handle.
Yeah, Richmond, congratulations to the Spiders, their first NCAA tournament win in program history. But you mentioned it, not a huge surprise to the avid lacrosse fan who watches the Spiders week in and week out, specifically in the non-conference schedule when they battle toe-to-toe with the big dogs.
Other side of the bracket, you and I were in Princeton, New Jersey. Saw the Tigers beat the Tigers 22-12. That game was sloppy in the first half for Princeton. Second half, they put on a clinic.
A shooting expo. I mean, guys like Nate Kabiri with 5 goals, Tucker Wade with 5. They were hammering corners. The efficiency from a shooting perspective was off the charts. They started in the first quarter shooting around 30%. And then the last 3 quarters shot around 80% in that game. They were automatic. And then Georgetown, they've been dominant as of late, getting past that first round. And Kevin Warren has a scorer, and Aiden Carroll's got 14 goals in his last 2 games. He is red hot.
The NCAA Men's Lacrosse National Championship game is on Memorial Day, Monday the 26th at 1 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. It's going to be played at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. For more information, go to ncaa.com. Your home for all 90 NCAA championships.
It's critical right now, Connor, that Ohio State takes a deep breath and starts to get some real offensive possessions. You feel like they're not controlling the ball on that end at all. Notre Dame has been able to go after Ohio State's defense possession after possession and could be tiring them out on this hot day. This is one of the hottest days of the spring in the state of Ohio, up around 80 degrees.
And Will Lynch has won 4 faceoffs in a row as well.
Yeah, he's creating that run and that just big disadvantage in time of possession.
Procedure call going to go against Lynch.
And anytime you're in a spot like this, give it to your quarterback. That's 2 and white, Garrett Haas. Let him run your offense. Let the ball go through X every single possession when it's settled. He'll make the right decisions. And his ability to create from back there and win a matchup, but also distribute as a passer. He's the best passer on the team.
Here's White out of the box to O'Leary on the far side. Donovan will check him on the run here, shooting right into the stick of Richard Daly. We're going quickly the other way with Reinhardt. McLean hit the pipe. Stays with Ohio State.
This is what you don't want if you're Ohio State, right? It's just too quick of a possession. O'Leary takes an ill-advised shot when he feels the pressure on his back and pushed out by a defender. Loses his base, and now Notre Dame again on offense, starting to feel comfortable.
Pick hits the outside of the cage, but Kavanaugh gets it back.
They're really good in the pick game, and they're able to free Kavanaugh up.
Oh, what a move, and 5-hole. Ben Ramsey goes 5-hole on Big Tasty. 5 in a row now for the Irish.
This is the cat and mouse, sub or not to sub game. Ben Ramsey's a short stick defensive midfielder. Typically doesn't stay on the offensive frame. But why does he do it this time? Because he has a freshman offensive midfielder in Liam White, trapped and caught. So Notre Dame feels more confident in Ramsey's offensive skill and his overall ability to get a shot off than sub him out and allow White to get off the field as well. So that is elite lack of substitution by Notre Dame. And credit Ryder Garnsey, who runs the box.
Hagstrom had to take this draw for the Irish. And Oldman is guilty of the violation. The field has been tilted toward this end all second quarter. Ohio State has only taken 3 shots in the entire quarter. They have been on the defensive. Seymour to the middle of the field. Finley just puts a big shoulder into Ari Allen. Now the slide comes in Brown, has to get rid of it and does. They swing it to the far side, now back up top to Maharis. Kavanaugh in the corner. Now he's got Van Buren hung up. This is where 16 and 13 are so dangerous for the Irish. Watch Jake Taylor, 13, trying to cut to open space. Nice play by Van Buren. Ground ball, though, picked up by the Irish. Under 10 to shoot for Fisher Finley. McLean finding Kavanaugh inside. You're going to have to explain this, Clark, because I don't know how he found 50.
Do you remember draft night on Tuesday? I said this was a steal in the PLL. Chris Kavanaugh sliding to the second round because of his ability to play with the ball, but also without it. Watch how crafty he is. Once he sees Van Buren ball watching, just goes behind his back right there. He sees the back of the helmet of Van Buren, and it's go time. And credit McLean, who was an ex-attackman when he was at Brown before he transferred to Notre Dame, distributing the ball, playing in that role. And Notre Dame, you see the success winning titles, also headlining some PLL draft boards the last couple years. Jake Taylor goes 9th. Kavanaugh slides in the second round, which was a shocker to me. I have him the second-rated player eligible for the draft this year. And then Ben Ramsey, who we saw score a goal earlier as a short stick defensive midfielder.
Lynch back taking the face-off. He's really starting to assert his dominance at that spot today. Another possession. Ohio State has only won 3 draws on the afternoon.
Connor, we have just a little bit over 2 minutes left in the second quarter. Ohio State, you feel like, has never had the ball in this quarter.
It has been really tilted, and Notre Dame's taking advantage of it. And that's not a recipe for coming back in this game, especially when you're not winning faceoffs.
and they're beating Caleb Fyock with inside shots, right? They're not settling for bad shots. They're relying on their ball movement, their vision and passing skills, and these slam dunk type shots.
Angrick loses it, but he's got a teammate in Kavanaugh to pick it up. Kavanaugh's on the shorty. Langermeyer draws a lot of attention, though, when Brown slides to him. Face on now on Langermeyer. Slide comes to him. Bounce passes it to Kavanaugh up top. McLean can't handle it, but Taylor tracks it down. He's just going to dump it in the corner as the shot clock was winding down.
Smart play. It allows Notre Dame to get in their ride. Would have been a violation.
Final minute of this first half. Shot clock inconsequential for Ohio State. They really need a good offensive possession here. Need a good look, don't they?
Yeah, I would use a timeout here if I'm Nick Myers and draw something up here. You have not had the ball this quarter at all. I wouldn't hold anything to chance. Put your best personnel, put your best system and formation out there.
Under 30 now. It doesn't look like he's going to call it. Has one in the bag if he wants to use it. Griffin Turner against Alakwa. Looks like Ohio State's going here. Haas. Back to Turner. Up top, Marinier. He scores! Had to have it, and they got it.
Who needs a timeout? Nick Myers is saying, why use a timeout? Trust your personnel. The timeout would allow you to scheme something up, but also allow Notre Dame maybe to counter defensively. But this is the staple of Ohio State in 2025. Quick wrist passing by Garrett House. And absolute flamethrowers by Alex Marinier. This is the giddy-up I was talking about. In the first quarter, we saw one shot by Marinier where he kind of was off his balance and off his feet. When he plants his feet and he sets his core and you see that torque, it's one of the most beautiful shots you'll see in college lacrosse.
McLean lets it fly as the buzzer sounds. Ohio State needed that goal to break a 6-0 Irish run, and they got it. Now they head to the locker room down 3.
That last goal by Marinier was huge because you just felt the momentum switch. And when you have that against a team that's battle-tested in May, back-to-back champs in Notre Dame, they had Ohio State thinking. Are they able to counterpunch?
We're going to find that out in the second half, how well they're going to be able to do it, trailing 3. Coming up here at the half, we're going to have a recap of yesterday's 4 games, plus Kark and I are going to look ahead to the next 3 this afternoon. Big crowd here in Columbus. They sold out in... Paul Carcaterra, Chris Cotter with you. A little bit of a game of runs. Ohio State got off to a great start. The crowd was into it here. Then Notre Dame settled in, went 6 in a row, and that took the momentum back.
Yeah, I thought the Buckeyes blow for blow in the first quarter, but then it was the Will Lynch story. He's won 10 of 13 faceoffs for Notre Dame, and he's strangling possession. Ohio State only had 4 total shots in the second quarter. You can't score if you don't have the ball. I don't care how balanced your offense is. Notre Dame has been elite at just owning the ball and possessions.
Well, Notre Dame got off to a 3-1 start in this game. Caleb Fyock was outstanding in goal, and they were putting up points.
Yeah, it was possession for possession in the first quarter. Fyock leads the nation in save percentage, was terrific gobbling up those shots. But in the second quarter, Notre Dame kind of just figured you got to be more patient against Fyock because he's so good at just playing stick for stick in that top hand speed. So the inside game of Notre Dame's came alive. And then Marinier has been the answer with 2 goals for Ohio State. But for me, it's all about the second quarter. Will Lynch giving the offense plenty of opportunities and getting Ohio State to play way too much defense. And then from a shooting perspective, Cotter, they've been really patient. You look at some of their goals in the second quarter, right on the doorstep. They're not settling for a bad shot.
Marinier scored that goal at the end of the first half to steal a little bit of that momentum away from the Irish. Now, can Jack Oldman do what he did back on March 8th in South Bend, get the better of number 22, Will Lynch, in blue, and he hasn't been able to do it, and so far, he isn't able to do it here in the second half. Loose ball hold, possession of the Irish.
This is big for Will Lynch, too, because he's struggled in some games late in this season. Specifically, the last time out in the ACC semifinals against Johnny Mullen of Syracuse. But you know Will Lynch's big game capability. What he did down the stretch in 2023 and 2024. Those championship years for Notre Dame, Will Lynch has been a massive piece to that.
Kavanaugh looking for a pick. Now rolls back with his right down the alley to Angrick at X. Here's Faison. Ball deflected, but gets the boost and kill. Faison showing that area quickness that in a phone booth, what he can do.
Yeah, he likes that move too. We've seen it multiple times where he does the question mark. Seen it on championship weekend a year ago. He'll beat you with space, and when he likes to get in the body, it's that rollback question mark.
Kavanaugh and Van Buren. Van Buren just gets into him.
Shot clock violation.
Yes.
I thought Kavanaugh, the back of his mind, might have thought if he swept across and took Van Buren up top, he could get that shot off before it went to 0. Van Buren's so good.
Good defensive possession by Ohio State there to start this second half. Van Buren aware of the shot clock too. Right when he sensed it was coming down, he got right into Kavanaugh's body, engulfed him.
I was on the field pregame, and Bobby Van Buren doesn't have an ounce of fat on him. He's a unit.
I saw him run up to you to say hello, and I was like, my God. That's a specimen. White. There's McKenna. McKenna's a big dude, too. 27 and White. 6'6", 241. Now Haas had his defender hung up. Gets it to O'Leary here, GLE. Tries to swim, nothing doing against Ben Ramsey. Haas on the run, shoots wide. He scored on that exact same shot earlier.
Good. He's good, and he's able to get some separation from Sean Light, who's one of the top defenders in the country.
McKenna skips it. Marinier scores! From way outside, the hat trick for Marinier. How did Richard Deli just not see that?
You think desperation, right? With 2 seconds left on the shot clock. If anyone's going to shoot the ball from that range behind the restraining box, gets his 3rd of the afternoon. Unless I don't see something where Richie Ardelli was screened, he's got to make that stop. Marinier known to go top shelf. Richie Ardelli just bites low on the initial bouncer on that and doesn't come up with it. That's one that's going to drive him nuts.
It has been all Haas and Marinier today. Buckeyes will take it. That's 2 straight for the senior from Burlington, Ontario. Lynch again wins it straight forward to himself.
You got this home crowd. You score the last goal of the second quarter, the first goal of the third quarter. Get them alive. Get them popping. Get them believing.
You get a hold here. If you could score one on the other end and get it down to 1, I think they're going to explode. Harris. He's quick. Taylor. Oh! Yes, it goes in. I don't even know how to describe that shot.
Don't try to.
Shovel with a hint of a twister. Far pipe.
When he first catches his ball, Connor, I'm like, he's got to shoot this. Get rid of it. But it's Jake Taylor. We've seen this before. Wilma Harris with the initial dodge using some speed. You see how Taylor flashes out. That's just flat out nasty. What I love so much about this goal is how he finds the space and then counters with the unthinkable, the roll into a backhand twister. What in the world is that?
His hands were completely crossed up. And he crossed up Fayok.
Normally you do a twister like when your body's squared. You don't do that out of a roll with that kind of pressure. The goal that he had in the national semifinals against Virginia was one of the sickest goals I've ever seen. On the twister. That was from range. That one was in tight. He just does the unthinkable.
Speaking of in tight, that is not for the faint of heart picking up that GB. And Garrett Haas, all 5'8", 170 pounds of him, right in the thick of it.
The hot hands. Haas, 2 in white. Marinier, 5 in white. They've been pretty much all of the production for the Buckeyes and Nick Myers.
Here's Sheehan. Trying to feed it inside. Couldn't find his teammate Mayer.
That's a force by Sheehan, 10 in white. Handcuffs Meyer. Just not a good pass and not a good time too. Like when you think of the tempo of this game, you have to let your offense get into a flow. The second quarter, they hardly ever had the ball. They had 4 total shots in that quarter. Like let them get into a rhythm.
Irish have forced 7 turnovers. Saw Nick Myers talking to Sheehan when he went to the bench.
When you watch Jake Taylor inside, you see the finishing, but it's how he moves too. How he anticipates the feed. He's always finding space, giving Dodgers room, but also just playing mind games with the slide packages of the defender inside. You got to slide and deal with him.
Finley tried to feed it inside to McLean, picked up by Brown. Not yet.
Here's the ride. This is the Notre Dame ride. They don't make it easy.
Johnny Cool trying to keep his cool with Kavanaugh chasing him.
Got to get it out.
And they'll do just that. Island will put it in play and we'll wait for substitutions. Tonight we have the final 2 episodes of Full Court Press Season 2, 9 and 10 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2 and ESPN+. Island's going to let it rip. Richard Deli makes the save. 4-part documentary series takes an unparalleled behind-the-scenes look into the lives of Notre Dame guard Hannah Hidalgo, LSU guard Flaw J. Johnson, and USC forward Kiki Iriafen. Check it out.
Blake Island's like, don't read a promo when I have the ball. I might be a D-midi.
I'm going to let it rip. Good effort, but in the end, it's the Irish again with the ball. And this 3-goal lead. That time Angrick inside, he couldn't handle the pass. They're moving personnel around. Normally that's 13, Taylor inside. This time it was Angrick. Here comes McLean. Fayok gets the better of him. Look at the battle for the loose ball. Kavanaugh tries to goose it to a teammate. Angrick scores! How did that happen goals are we going to have today?
It's called effort. It's called grit. And it's never giving up on a play. And this is what Chris Kavanaugh does. Fayok makes the initial save here on McLean. Goes out of the cage to play it. And then Kavanaugh jumps him. And when the ball's on the ground, he gooses it out. This is incredible. Sells out, and then that little goose just gets the ball right into Angrich's stick. This is why I love Notre Dame's attack for years. It's what they do when defenses try to clear the ball. They make it personal, and they do anything they can to give their team that extra possession that could tilt the game. What a play by Kavanaugh to sell out there, that little goose, right? Flicking the ball upfield, and it happens to be an Angrich's stick.
And a heck of a play by Angrich just to pick up that GB. Fayok, oh, he took that one right against the chest plate, it looked. That did not feel good.
He's hurt.
Yes. You can see him over in the crease. You heard that pop from up here.
He's in pain right now.
You hope it was something like the chest plate and not up closer to the neck area.
Heard like the ball hit his helmet.
Yeah,
or something maybe under the chest
underneath
protector.
the chin, kind of that shin area. He is not in a good way. We'll keep an eye on Fayok, but meanwhile on the offensive end, his Buckeye teammates got to find a way to dent the net. Saved by Richard Deli. Fayok's walking it off. Take a look at the save, this last save by Fayok.
Yeah, that gets him square in the head.
Got a flag down, delayed call, going to go against the Buckeyes. Miller doesn't want to wait for the call. Fayok makes the save. Picked up, shot wide. Now let's get the number. Fayok's still shaking that off, went right up against his helmet. He's got 10 saves on the day.
Cotter, in the offensive frame for Notre Dame, you're never safe. See Taylor crashing for a ground ball, the prior Kavanaugh ride. They just don't give up.
And they do a great job of scooping ground balls and turning them into scoring opportunities like that.
Exactly.
Instantly.
That's why when you see the ball flash out and Taylor scoops it up, you're like, oh, here we go.
A guy like Taylor can scoop a ground ball and shoot it in one motion. In traffic. Now these officials really talking things over. Rob Gross, Josh Sexton, Scott Rogowski, these are our officials today. Now we'll get clarification. Both coaches wanting to get the full explanation now for our officials of what the call is going to be. Neither one of them look ecstatic.
Yeah,
Coach Myers is not
their
happy.
case, right?
Yeah.
I know why you're mad. Why would you take a shot? I know why you're mad. Oh, yeah. That's the third time you said that today. No, you just stick. I'm going to stay with you if you're going to let him do that to you.
These two coaches have been rivals going all the way back to the Great Western Lacrosse League days. Corrigan upset. Myers didn't want to give him the time to berate the official without him standing there. So Myers stayed in the fray. Corrigan's still upset.
So there was an initial flag down. The reason why Kevin Corrigan's upset, and I understand why, he said they wouldn't have taken that shot if they hadn't known there wasn't a penalty. They saw a flag down. They thought it was a free play,
right.
So it was go time. So it was an inadvertent flag, and now it goes to Ohio State. He has every right to be mad.
Yeah, to me, I think in that situation, if you have an inadvertent flag and you pick it up, just get possession back to Notre Dame and we start fresh.
Because they're not shooting that ball. It's not a free play for them.
No question about it. That's an unfair disadvantage to Notre Dame in that situation. So you can understand why Coach Corrigan is unhappy. If he had the hat with him, that thing would have been all over the turf. Stomped on. He opted to go hatless today, but he is still fired up. They have the 4-goal lead. White shoots on the run high.
If Ohio State scores one, he's not going to be thrilled.
He'd be less thrilled than he even is now. He'll take it to another level. McKenna here, trying to use that physical nature. White too far out. Now shoots. Man, Richard Delling's been outstanding. He gives this one up though, right in front. Haas in an unsettled situation. Oh, throws it away.
I don't know who he's passing to there. That ball might stay in.
It does. Marnier tracks it down. He's got to stay on that side of the field, though. Can he save it to a teammate? No. Picked up by Schwitzenberg. He gets it ahead to Taylor. This is a dangerous situation here. Taylor in the middle of the field. That's easy money.
Marnier is so concerned with the over and back and trying to keep the ball in play for Ohio State in the offensive set. So he chucks the ball. In desperation, Notre Dame flashes out and gets that rock, and it's go time. The champs of 2023 and 2024 look like they are going to be a thorn in anyone's side. Jake Taylor.
Get him as well. If they continue their run here this year. Speaking of runs, Lynch is having a heck of a run. He shoots, Fyock stops him. He is owning the face-off dot right now.
Ryan Hoff knew it was going to be a problem with Jake Taylor after his first start, going after his records. 8 goals in his first start against Syracuse a few years back. That's when he announced himself to college lacrosse. And the PLL typically doesn't draft crease guys, but he's just so different because he's like another coach on the field, manipulating the defense and the slide packages because of how smart he is with his spatial awareness away from the ball.
Buckeyes got a counter here. Sheehan to Mayer, up top to Marinier. Donnery trying to set a pick for Mayer. Donovan, outstanding defense. Richard Deli now in a little trouble in the corner. Gets it back to Donovan, can't find it though.
Yeah, I was with holding. I thought maybe Donovan was on top of the ball.
Goes against the Buckeyes. Crowd didn't like it.
Looked like a scrum between Mayer and Donovan there.
Officials want to make sure the shot clock is reset.
Here, Corrigan in the background. He doesn't like the whistle because it feels like it impeded their clear, which was all but done.
Irish safely get into the offensive end.
I don't know if I saw any withholding from Donovan there. Initially, I thought maybe he was on top of the ball. He was in that area, like his body, but he wasn't withholding. That's the right call.
Angrick. Looked for Taylor inside. He was just covered up a bit. Kavanaugh, watch out. Here's Taylor. Pass inside. Boost and kill. There's an assist from Taylor. Clark, before he had those 8 goals in his first start, the only Jake Taylor anybody ever knew was the catcher from Major League. We learned very quickly that this Jake Taylor from Denver, Colorado was going to be a problem for Notre Dame opponents for years to come.
We were talking about his passing. Just doesn't get the opportunity a ton. That is a beauty of a dime right there to Max Busenkill. Starts with Kavanaugh getting the Ohio State defense to rotate. And this time, we talk about deception. There's deception not only in his shooting, but his passing. It's like that slight little look away by Taylor. He's something else. This has been an unbelievable second and third quarter by Jake Taylor. And he had his attention on high alert right after Kevin Corrigan pulled him against Syracuse.
Yes, good point.
In that loss in the ACC semifinals. He was not happy with him. And you just know that he was playing with like a different sense of urgency in this game.
Lynch has won 15 of 19 faceoffs today.
That's been the games. Because this is a Buckeye defense that is full of superstars, but they're just playing way too much.
Fayok makes the save, the bouncer from face-on. He's got 12 saves on the day. Oh, dangerous pass. Van Buren clears it to O'Leary. This is where the Buckeyes really got to figure something out on this offensive end. Richard Delley's been outstanding in goal for the Irish, but Ohio State's made it too easy on him. Matthews on the run. White back to the middle of the field. He's got Ramsey on him, but he gets free. Richard Delley just too good today.
Start getting impatient. The Buckeyes have only had 19 shots the entire game. Like, this is a team that wants to be in the mid-40s, maybe even hovering around 50 for a game. But when you don't have the ball and you don't have the frequency of your shots, you start getting impatient. And you settle, and then the other goalie starts getting confident, and then it snowballs.
Final minute and a half of this third quarter. It can't snowball any further, otherwise Ohio State's season is going to come to an end. They're already trailing by 6. And it could be even more heading into the fourth quarter. Seymour on the run. They'll swing it to Maharis up top. Notre Dame still has time on the shot clock. Seymour again. Great job defensively by Island. You can see the skill if you haven't seen Ohio State this year. Not only the physical nature of them defensively, but the skill, like Island right there causing that turnover. You see it.
It's an impressive unit. 6 nationally in goals against. Got the pieces too. Wow, that is
goodness.
A gorgeous
that is
takeaway.
An All-American play by an All-American close defender in Sean Light.
He covers anyone too. Covers the bigger guys. He can cover the quicker guys like Garrett Haas.
Irish try to strike quickly. Alakwa cutting in front of the cage.
And what people don't realize, he's been just erasing attackmen for the last 2 years. He's only a sophomore.
Fayok sends it the length of the field as the horn sounds. An impressive third quarter for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Yeah, they're on the road. Yeah, they're unseeded coming into this game, but they're still the 2-time defending champs. And Sean Light shows why. Brilliant play by the All-American. Irish up heading to the fourth. 3-1 in this game since that very moment. Early though, Clark, it's been all Notre Dame, and we head to the fourth. The Irish up by 6.
Dominating the face-off X. Will Lynch, 15 out of 19. If you're Ohio State, you might want to mix it up a little bit. Put a pole there. You know, they have a pole on the wing. Will Lynch is winning this to himself every time. If you put a pole right there and you disrupt him, you give yourself a 50-50 chance. You're not winning it straight up.
Cullen Brown is just relentless, isn't he?
Yeah, he's one of those guys. So he's a long stick midfielder. He plays the wings a lot on faceoffs. You're getting dominated so bad. I'd put that long pole, Cullen Brown, at the faceoff against Will Lynch and just harass him.
Yep.
Like, make it very uncomfortable. If he's going to win it clean, like, he's going to have to deal with Cullen Brown in his hands.
That's another All-American play by Ben Ramsey on the trail check. Donovan looking for somebody in front, finds him, scores! It's Reinhardt. Ramsey with the beautiful defensive play on the other end. Then he and his short stick D-mini teammate Reinhardt and the long pole Donovan combined for the goal. That's something.
ND is cooking right now. End-to-end action. When they won championships in 2023 and 2024 back-to-back, Will Donovan was one of their best players in transition, making plays like this, and then the payoff is the freshman short stick defender, Chris Reinhardt, who's an offensive player in high school. He gets switched to the short stick spot as a defender this year, but you see his awareness around the cage and not to shoot high on Caleb Fyock. Make that 6'2", 296-pound body move low, and that's what he did. Early on in this game, they were shooting high and tight. No dice against Caleb Fyock. That was a smart shooting decision by Reinhardt.
Once again, Lynch wins it cleanly. Irish on an 11-2 run.
And there was the clean face-off win, and that's why I'm saying, like, you got to mix it up a little bit. Put one of your poles out there, your athlete like a Cullen Brown, and make it really hard for Will Lynch. If you're going to win the face-off clean, you're going to have to deal with pressure. And he's not dealing with pressure right now. He's winning it clean, and he's giving his team possession after possession.
And the Irish can afford to run some shot clock now that we're in the fourth quarter. And they know they have Lynch winning faceoffs. They can be very deliberate offensively.
And you get a tired Ohio State defense. I mean, they emptied the tank in the Big Ten tournament.
Had to. Beat Rutgers and beat Maryland for the title.
In 2 days, right? And that's tough. Cullen Brown, he logged crazy mileage in those 2 games. He's got the ball right now.
Loses a glove.
23,000 yards, over 13 miles logged in those 2 games.
Fyock makes the save, point blank.
So yes, it was a week ago, but the mileage adds up.
Well, in talking to Coach Myers this week, he said that was his biggest concern. Just making sure that everybody was able to recover from that big weekend.
Exactly, and Notre Dame loses their only ACC game on a Friday to Syracuse. They go back to South Bend. It's one less game they had to play to prepare and rest up and rehab and get the treatment.
Clear sense of urgency from the Buckeyes here. And it just goes away from Haas.
In this magical run by Ohio State, Cotter, if you're a Buckeye fan, you could be upset because you win 14 out of 15 games. The only loss in that stretch was to Maryland. You avenged that loss in the Big Ten title. So you win the Big Ten regular season and the conference tournament. And this is what you're rewarded with. A first-round game against the 2-time defending champs. Like, should have this been the matchup after such a successful season? A lot of people say no.
Yeah, once the selection committee chooses their 8 seeded teams, next thing for them is to look for teams that aren't seeded that make the tournament, that are geographically, that makes sense geographically.
Exactly. So they finish ahead of Penn State. They win the Big Ten. They beat Penn State head-to-head. They're ahead of them in every poll. Penn State, in all due respect, with Colgate, they get Colgate at home. Ohio State gets Notre Dame. Who would you rather have?
Right.
And Colgate's a good team, but this is the 2-time defending champs, and this is what you're rewarded with.
Maheres. Saved by Fyock. Van Buren's going to have to watch out here. Look at that athleticism for a big guy like Van Buren. It's to Dante Bowen, a teammate. Bowen will stay on to set a pick. Matthews uses that pick, gets it to Marinier. He shoots and scores with a twister. '50th on the season for Marinier.
He's a phenomenal story. Box lacrosse background with a short stick and a score. In field lacrosse growing up in Canada, played with a pole. Came to Ohio State as a defender. Played defense his first 2 years. And Alex Marinier has become a lethal scorer. We know about him from deep in range. That's his calling card. This time he shows you the inside game with a little Jake Taylor-esque twister. You know, this story behind Marinier, too. So he's a pole his first 2 years playing defense at Ohio State. Nick Meyer spends a lot of time north of the border scouting Canadian box players. So he's watching Marinier play as a box lacrosse short stick, as he's a member of his team as a defender. And he's like, I got to mention this to him. I know he's a field defender, but his offensive skills in box are just too profound. They're too good. We got to give him a shot. So his junior year in that fall, they say, let's see how it goes. The rest is history.
Yeah, it's gone pretty well. 50 on the season now for Marinier. And he hopes that ignites a miraculous fourth quarter run for the Buckeyes. Now down 6. Got a full day ahead. 3 more games across ESPN networks. Triple header on ESPNU starts right after our game. Kavanaugh on the move. Angry. On the run. Too high.
Angry, super two-handed. Righty is his natural shooting stroke. You see him get to the middle of the field and scorch that.
Kavanaugh just misses it. Those two. I mean, Kavanaugh and Van Buren have been battling all day. Van Buren hobbling a little bit after you heard the contact.
It's a big boy matchup.
Pads popping. Shot clock violation. Any possession that takes 80 seconds off the clock, though, for Notre Dame here in the fourth quarter is not a bad possession.
Got to have quick possessions if you're Ohio State. You got to take some chances because you're getting dominated at the face-off X. So the runs are going to be harder, right? How do you stack possessions when you're getting dominated like that? You're going to have to junk it up. You're going to have to score quickly and then find possessions elsewhere in the full field. On the rides, the 50-50 ground balls. So this 6-goal gap right now is big. It's bigger than 6. It feels like when you don't have the ability to win consecutive face-offs.
Sean Light with a great ground ball. Brock Behrman, 21 in blue, getting some run. Harris will check in, as will Seymour and Miller. Here's Miller. See the speed. Vision as he tried to find Behrman on the far pipe. Crease violation, though. Be a turnover to Ohio State.
Wish everyone a happy Mother's Day out there on a beautiful day.
No question about that.
I saw something that was great. Someone posted behind every lacrosse player who believes in himself or herself is a lacrosse mom who believed in them first. I thought that was spectacular.
Love it. Wrap to the head that time. Yeah, Ohio State fans wanted it. They'll get the call. Donnery got leveled.
Blue, 12. Hold. 30 seconds.
I know, I'm trying to take that.
60 on the shot clock, please.
Call's going to go against Tyler Buckner.
These are the things that could get Ohio State back in, right? You're not winning the possession game, so you got to capitalize quick on these extra man opportunities. Let's see how they play 5 and white. This will dictate if there's an inside seam because of the pressure on him, or if he gets time and room with his feet.
Sheehan skips it to Mayer, tough angle. Hey, how about Richard Deli? 10th save of the game, and he's made some big ones.
That was a tough one for Mayer. Felt like he was a little flat on that. I think he could have just moved his feet, stepped upfield to increase his angle a little bit. There's Cullen Brown again. There he is, 42 and white.
And he scoops it up, just that far off. But again, a play by Light to anticipate that that pass was coming.
Beautiful toss by Richard Deli, too.
Donovan. Possession here is big for Notre Dame, and Devin McClain, graduate student, has played a lot of college lacrosse in his life, knows it. Pulls it back out, just run a little clock.
I thought his play in the second quarter was huge with the goal and the assist. Just always making the right play at the right time, 29 in blue.
Miller. Kavanaugh. That time Fayok with the save. Gonna get an interference call here.
Can't shoot high to high on Fayok. When you're on goal line extended, that's 2 for Buck City.
That's one of my favorite Kark expressions. Still haven't figured out what it means, but I love hearing it. Matthews. Behind the Sheehan. Buckeyes got to strike quickly here. Marinier bounces it. No problem for Richard Deli. Flag down, let's get the call.
Seymour. Jalen Seymour, the big 6'4" midi, offsides. Let's see if Ohio State can get a better shot on Richie Urdelli this time.
Buckeyes 1 for 2 man up today. Couple of issues with the shot clock today. Want to get that thing back right. Officials doing the right thing to stop play, make sure it's synced up.
Hey, it's like 5:37. 10 seconds, okay. Hey, come by me, come by me. Come by all the way down here. All the way down.
Corrigan is still riding the officials.
Yeah, that's just
him.
Yeah, he's going to do it. But to his credit, he will coach to the last second of a game.
Wait for the game clock. The game clock's still wrong.
He knows he's got to keep this team on edge, especially when you're back-to-back, right? You don't want to ever rest, feel comfortable, keep that edge.
The winner of this game will advance to Sunday's quarterfinal action in Annapolis. They'll play Penn State. Marinier fires it wide.
Penn State's been a staple now the last bunch of years. Championship weekend appearances in 2019, 2023. They've got some explosive offensive players. Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year and Matt Trainer.
Sheehan,
first round draft pick.
Yeah, Penn State is kind of like, you gotta look at Penn State and Georgetown similarly, though. Penn State's been able to get over the hump and get the championship weekend. Georgetown is a staple in the quarterfinals, like Penn State. They haven't been able to get over the hump. They'll get an opportunity this time around. Also in Annapolis, they'll play the winner of Air Force and Maryland.
Yeah, of all teams to try to get over the hump against, right? If you're Georgetown, you play John Tillman, who is 10-1 in quarterfinal games.
Right. It's never been easy for Coach Warren.
When's the one loss? It was 2019 in the pipe game, right? Where Virginia beat them, and then there was that controversial call.
It was a goal or not.
No goal. Yes. They called it a goal for Virginia.
Angra, good spin move to the middle. The pass, face on, scores. You and I did a game earlier this year, Clark, and Notre Dame was struggling, but then they had a run, and you said when they figure it out, man, did they figure it out, and they figured it out here today in Columbus.
When they're at their best, you know and feel they can compete and beat anyone. It's all about balanced scoring.
On Sunday, you and I will be in Hempstead, New York for the 2 Saturday games.
Yeah, Hempstead could be absolutely lit when you think about Princeton punching the ticket in their storied history with the 6 national titles and the alum base in the New York area. And they'll either play Harvard, who they've played twice already and beaten them, get a 3rd shot at the Tigers if you're Jerry Byrne and the Crimson, or you got to deal with Syracuse. And Syracuse-Princeton, when you think of the tradition and history of that matchup.
Yes.
It was a mainstay in Championship Monday for all the marbles for many times in the 1990s and the 2000s. Those two teams battled it out year in and year out.
Sheehan backing it up. A lot of contact. O'Leary swims, shoots off the pipe. White thought he picked it up, couldn't handle it. Instead of Schwitzenberg, we go the other way. He finds Taylor all the way in the corner. NCAA Men's Lacrosse National Championship game is Memorial Day as Notre Dame takes a timeout. That's Monday the 26th at 1 Eastern on ESPN. It's at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. If you want more information, go to ncaa.com. That's your home for all 90 NCAA championships.
You know, up next we have Maryland and Air Force on ESPNU at 2:30. We saw Logan McNaney warming up. He is about as big game of a goalie as we've seen. He's started now for 4 years. The 3 previous years that he's been a starter at Maryland, they've played on Championship Monday. He's the record holder in terms of most saves in program history. You look at him, he's 5'8", 5'9", but he is one of the smartest, most patient goalies you will ever see. And when John Tillman has him in his back pocket to rely on defensively, you got a shot. And such a great story too. Game On, which is a featured lacrosse piece that's out there right now, highlighted the relationship between John Tillman and Logan McNaney. You could get that on the ESPN app. There's 4 stories. McNaney and Tillman are one of them, both coming from Corning. It's a great story. You got to check it out. But another goalie who's been terrific today, Thomas Ricciardelli. When they lost at home in March to the Buckeyes, he actually played one of his best games, saving 67%. But today he's been terrific. They've strangled possessions, winning all the draws with Will Lynch. And then when Ohio State finally thought they had an opportunity to keep this game close, Thomas Ricciardelli said, not today. 68%. That is an outstanding afternoon on the road in his first playoff start. The big question was, could they replace Liam Entenmann, the biggest of big game goalies in Notre Dame history? And Thomas Ricciardelli, as a first-year starter, actually has better numbers than Liam Entenmann's first year starting. Now, there's a bigger path ahead, and Entenmann solidified himself as one of the greatest May goalies of all time. What can Ricciardelli do in May? Well, this is a good start.
Good start. And he's 3 minutes and change away from getting to the quarterfinals as a starting goaltender. Picks that ball off. Notre Dame will go from one Big Ten opponent in Ohio State to another in Penn State. Sunday in Annapolis. Maharis. The Irish content with this 7-goal lead to run as much of that 80-second shot clock down as possible. Henry Blake in goal now for the Buckeyes. Fayok's day appears to be done.
Fayok was the least of Ohio State's problems today. He went an entire season never going under 50%. And today that was the case as well.
Flags down. Maharis gets mugged. He's got an empty net, though. Shows not to try and force the shot, but Notre Dame's going to go man up here with 2:11 left to go.
You think about that. Like an off day is under 50%. Fayok has never been under 50% the entire season. Today he's at 53%. Yes, that's not his typical 62, which is tops in the country. And if he ended the season at 62%, that's the best save percentage since 2022. An historic year for Caleb Fayok. But Notre Dame just so patient. See this call right here?
Illegal body check. 1 minute. 60.
The senior Greg Langermeyer, team captain, gets a pat on the back from Marnier.
This guy goes 100 miles an hour.
From the Cleveland area, Westlake, with the St. Ignatius. That's a big-time school up there in Cleveland.
You know, we spin forward and you think about the Buckeyes in 2026. They're going to return Fayok and return Van Buren. They're going to return Cullen Brown. I mean, their defense, which was 6th nationally, could even get better next year. But I thought Notre Dame was just masterful at the longer possessions. Coach Corrigan told us earlier in the week we can't be trading a longer Ohio State possession for a shorter 20 to 25. Wow.
Paint that corner, Cav. And that puts a button on it.
Survive and advance. Kavanaugh and the Irish did more than just survive. They dominated on the road. Killing some clock. Boost and kill. Kavanaugh. Time and room, and as Notre Dame alum Eamon McEnany always used to say, bullseye.
It's the most goals allowed since that fateful day on February 1st for the Buckeyes when they opened this season, giving up 19 to Utah, and we've chronicled everything that has happened since in this magical season for Coach Myers and the Buckeyes, winning the Big Ten regular season title, winning the Big Ten tournament, getting to host the first ever postseason game here at this stadium, the first ever NCAA tournament game, as you had Light try to get that full field shot against a 10-man.
This is where the experience paid off too. Like Notre Dame they felt comfortable in this game, right? You knew they weren't going to flinch based on their prior experience. But next week in Annapolis, they're getting a team that knows how to compete in these big spots too, in Penn State, who's no stranger to championship weekend.
Wow, Behrman from deep.
Behrman, it's a laser. So much for killing the clock. Some salt to the wound. Brock Behrman, Luke Miller, two young guys who've played some spot duty this season when Taylor and Kavanaugh exhaust their eligibility this month. They will be mainstays for the next couple years in the Notre Dame offensive attack spot. He just launches this from deep. But Cotter, I was talking about like looking ahead to Penn State and to Notre Dame next week. One matchup that I'm thrilled to see will be Sean Light, the defender from Notre Dame, against Matt Traynor, who's the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, the senior from Penn State, who was the 6th overall pick in the PLL draft by Mike Pressler in the New York Atlas. I think that's going to be a big-time matchup to look at.
Sheeran comes upfield. Ricciardelli puts his final stamp on this game. "14 saves for Ricciardelli. One final save for Ricciardelli. It's been his night today. And the Irish open their defense in this tournament on the road, and they'll advance to the quarterfinals against Penn State next Sunday in Annapolis.
Shiny gold helmets prevail once again. The lacrosse world is getting used to dominant performances by the Notre Dame Fighting Irish in the month of May. Back-to-back champs looking to start this tour in May of 2025 on the right foot and being the first team since Princeton in 96, 97, and 98 to three-peat, and they have the horses to do it.
15-6 the final. We'll be back to speak with Coach Corrigan. Might even grab Jake Taylor along the way as well. All Irish, after trailing 3-1 early in this game, they picked up the lead and never looked back.